When it comes to Kendrick Perkins, he is widely recognized as the worst and dumbest NBA analyst. And while his basketball takes are bad, in the past, they've been strictly about basketball. But over the past couple of days, Kendrick Perkins, his basketball takes have injected race into the conversation.
When it comes down to guys winning MVP since 1990, it's only 3 guys that won the MVP that wasn't top 10 in scoring. Do you know who those 3 guys were?
Who were they?
Steve Nash, Jokic, and Dirk Nowitzki.
That was Kendrick Perkins' so-called facts proving white players have it easier in the MVP race. The only problem is Perkins' stats were inaccurate and false, as both Dirk and Jokic, when they won their MVPs, were indeed top 10 in scoring. And what makes it worse, Perkins' cutoff date, that being 1990, was very selective, as Magic in 90 and 89 won MVP while not being top 10 in scoring. It's not just the bad stats that frustrate me, it's also the weird and unfounded racial narrative that Perkins is trying to push.
What do those guys have in common? I'll let it sit there and marinate. You think about it.
As you saw in that clip, Perkins is definitely implying white players have it easier when it comes to MVP. And on Twitter, he doubled down, saying his take was hurting people's feelings and he wasn't afraid to say what people were thinking. And I thought that tweet right there was the end of the story. But on First Take today, JJ Reddick absolutely grilled this man with cold, hard facts.
Perk, I want to touch on something that they didn't bring up. This idea that Dirk and Steve Nash were favored to win the MVP because they're white. First of all, you stop short at 1990. That was your cutoff point for players to win MVP not in the top 10 in points per game, which is a stupid stat to judge MVP on. This isn't middle school. 1990, Magic won it. In 89, Magic won it. 87, Magic won it. 87, he was 10th. 89, he was 15th. 90, he was 18th.
Okay.
JJ so far is cooking Perkins with undeniable facts, and some points he raised were also points I raised in a previous video. Now, the one thing he did leave out that I desperately wanted to mention was that Perkins' stats aren't even correct. As remember, both Dirk and Jokic were indeed top 10 in scoring when they won MVP. I want you guys to keep that in mind as the video progresses. Kendrick Perkins' foundation for this debate and the narrative he's built is based on a lie and inaccurate stats.
It was just a strange thing. It was just a strange
But why did you cut it off at 1990 though? Because that was convenient. That was convenient.
I'm just saying. Hold on, time out. It was just a strange thing that it just happened. It was just a strange thing in 2006 when Kobe averaged 31. When he was playing with Kwame Brown and Smush Parker.
And what was the record that year? 42 and 40. They were 42 and 40.
Let him speak.
Was he the most valuable player?
They made the playoffs with that roster. You take Kobe off that team, they probably win 8 games. Okay, so let's make that very, very clear.
Now, stopping the clip right there, I do find it pretty funny Perkins not once addressed the cherry pick stat in the year of 1990. As once again, that year is the basis for this whole narrative and this argument, as Magic in 1989, as a black player, won MVP while not being top 10 in scoring. That fact right there destroys Perkins' whole racial narrative of the MVP. And looking past that, Kendrick Perkins also debates Steve Nash winning the 06 MVP over Kobe. And to be quite honest, Perkins on this point isn't totally wrong, as Kobe in 06 averaged 35.4 points and carried the Lakers team to 45 wins. Kobe 100% had a case to win MVP, and some would argue should have been the favorite to win the award. But for Perkins, I do find it kind of hypocritical. He thinks Kobe that year should have won the award. But Jokic last year, also as a 6th seed, winning 48 wins, shouldn't have won it over Joel Embiid. And still looking at 06, I think most NBA fans agree Steve Nash should not have won that award. But with that being said, that doesn't mean he won it because he was white. That doesn't mean Jokic shouldn't win it this year based off one bad MVP selection.
Now, since you want to talk about when I was saying and preaching about moving the goalposts, the reason I asked that question was for the simple fact that what I'm saying is I don't know the criteria no more.
So stopping it right there, if you guys didn't know, Kendrick Perkins actually has a vote for MVP. If you're 45 years old, have a vote for MVP, don't know the criteria for the award, you should reject your vote and call it quits. As looking through NBA history, 95% of the time the criteria is pretty simple. It's team record, individual play, value, and teammate help. I would say, universally speaking, those four things are what makes an NBA MVP. Do you have the occasional exception where a player doesn't check every box? Of course. But most of the times, that constitutes an MVP season. And speaking of MVP, Kendrick Perkins last year on his ballot had Devin Booker over Giannis to win the award.
We don't know, but we do know this. Since you do want to bring it up, we do know this, that when it comes to MVP voting, 80% of the voters are white American. 20% are others. I know that stat. If you want to talk about advanced stat, I do know that one.
Now, stopping it right there, Kendrick Perkins once again injects race into the debate for MVP, saying 80% of the voters are white people. What is he implying by saying this? Why is he bringing this up? If it's not about race, why would you even mention the voters are 80% white? Now, secondly, the overall notion white voters don't give black players the MVP is flat out false. As looking at white players, from 87 to 04, we had 0 white MVPs. And also from 08 to 2020, once again, we had 0 white MVPs. I feel weird even saying white MVPs because once again, the MVP is not a racial thing. But if I was a simpleton like Perkins, looking at that right there, what would I say? Oh, the NBA, they have it out for white players. They won't give them the MVP. It's been 17 years since Larry Bird won the award, and they're not giving it to white guys. That is the kind of stupid narrative Perkins would build if the shoe was on the other foot. And I want to be 100% clear in saying, race and skin color have no bearing in basketball or the MVP debate. And looking at past history, the voters themselves prove they don't have any bias for or against black and white players. Do they always get the vote right? I don't really think so. But race does not play a factor in their choice.
But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality. The implication, what you are implying, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist, that they favor white people. You just said that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins. That is exactly what you implied. Secondly, hold on.
I did not call. I stated the facts. And you're not about to sit up.
We all know what you implied the other day. We all know what you implied just now. Hold on.
I stated it's the facts.
One at a time.
It's the facts. It's the facts.
Okay.
So stopping it right there, an absolutely amazing clip, JJ Reddick calling out Perkins for his BS narrative. And I think everyone knows Perkins was 100% implying white voters favor white players. And at first, he was shaking his head saying, I did not. But 5 seconds later, was singing a different tune, saying, it's the facts. So which one is it, Perkins? Is it the facts, or is it I did not? Because at this point, I think it's pretty clear to everyone, you 100% had a weird racial narrative you were trying to inject, and it failed miserably. And looking at Twitter once again, Perkins after this clip doubled down yet again, saying he was speaking facts and he wasn't afraid to speak the truth.
Jokic then?
Why
even play?
Can I talk for a second? The reason that I brought it up was when we started talking about triple doubles. All I said was, and Stephen A., you could correct me if I'm wrong. I said that when Russ was averaging a triple double, that he was getting crucified.
So that right there is our last clip. But once again, Perkins, he's a moron. Russell Westbrook in 2017 won MVP because of his triple doubles. Did he get pushback from some fans? Of course. But his so-called stat padding led him to winning MVP. And it wasn't until 2018, 2019 where he had more teammate help but still had little playoff success that the narrative finally changed. And I would say Westbrook post-MVP 100% got flack for his triple doubles and his stat padding. Now, with that being said, it's a classic case of two wrongs don't make a right, as Kendrick Perkins has no problems bashing Jokic for his so-called stat padding. If you're like me and any level-headed NBA fan, you call things as you see them. You don't base your takes on narratives or things that happened in the past that were also bad narratives that affect your judgment today. The overall summary of this video is pretty simple. I cannot stand narratives that inject race into sports. It divides people, it's unnecessary drama, and at the end of the day, it's flat out stupid. And thankfully for us on YouTube, there's a lot of fans who call this BS and it's complete nonsense. And going forward, I'll keep doing the same and exposing Kendrick Perkins and his awful takes on basketball. So with that being said, that is the end of the video. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.